My concern is I feel like Kenyans as common citizens, they are being overburdened in such a way that they vote for elected members. Then we have commissions who are actually on the payrolls using that taxpayers' money. Now, when you say that they have to come back again and start indulging in issues in which they entrusted fellow Kenyans to do for them, then I find that there is something wrong somewhere, and maybe Kenyans are being forced maybe to use other means, which is not proper. Now, my issue is the Commission should tell us the measures and mechanisms that it has put in place in pertaining the history of land issues in Kenya. But coming back to the public again, then we'll still be messing up with the public because we know the Kenyan system, how it operates.
The Commission cannot be everywhere. I've said that we have already cases that we are investigating. We are already holding hearings to check into those that we feel were irregularly acquired. So the issue is we cannot be everywhere. I mean, there are so many grab lands all over the country, but it would even be better if you now who is there, you would come over even to the Commission and notify the Commission, because we are a young Commission that is also growing. And we are just putting up structures. We've now, for instance, in all the counties, we have the secretaries to the board, and the boards are there. So you could, even out there, approach the boards and put up your complaint. So I think it will not really be easy for the Commission to know. Let's just take primary schools in the country. Over 40,000 primary schools that we have in the country. We can't really be everywhere to be able to know up the status of each and every school to know whether the land has been grabbed. So we should work together. To me, really, I think it is a win-win situation for you to come forward, and then we walk through this journey of recovering this land that has been stolen. A
comment, once again, we need to look at densification as regards housing to reduce the sprawl and the cost of housing. I think Egavi had spoken to that. Back to Lands Office. I'm afraid the Lands Offices are not going to get away with this. A lot of comments on Lands Office. What is Lands Office doing to encourage citizen participation in the matters of land grabbing, since it is a joint effort? That's one. The second, and that's from Schaefer Rue. Kenyan feminist, citizens must demand for the realization and the paradisation of the rights stipulated in Katiba. And from someone who didn't quite catch who this was from, is there any hope for the Dongo Commission and the Dongo Commission report? I've
said that our offices are open, and in case you are aware of a land that has a public land, school, whatever, that has been grabbed, and somebody has a title deed, one way to participate is to actually get your all the documentation about those parcels of land that you think someone has grabbed, and then you write to the Commission. You can come. Our offices are open all the time. You can come, and then you present that petition, and then that petition is looked into by the Commission, and if there's merit enough, then the Commission can call for a review of that grant, because the other party must be holding a title, isn't it, for it to be grabbed. That is why the silly issue is a bit difficult, because probably even the guy who did put up a mall does not have a title. So if somebody has already been allocated the land and has a title and it's a public land, then that person will be asked to come over and explain how he or she acquired that land. So by you coming up and informing the Commission about those developments, then we will be helping in moving forward and sorting out this problem of grabbing of public land. Then the other issue is we also need to be more active in protecting our land. You see, if you have a primary school and you have a play field, a playing field where children play, and then children don't play, they don't even go there. It's not even fenced. That is, okay, how are you then showing that you are really concerned? I think the best thing could have been to actually use them for the purposes intended. So we should, if we have a primary school, Then let us, and there is a field, let us put up a field, a real field, and children should always be playing. Because those grabbers cannot just come when there are so many children playing, when there are structures put in place. But the moment we just, it's like we've forgotten. So, and I know many of them walk around looking at, nobody seems to be here, and they just move ahead to grab those lands. So we also need to participate further by making sure that whatever the land was intended for is actually used in that manner.
I would like to give you a small experience we had, again, during the recent Nairobi master plan. You know, the things were put in nation and standard, and then when we were asking people, how did you get the information when you came here? Only 11% came there because they had heard from the newspaper. So this, again, perhaps, and those are the official sources where the counties or whatever are supposed to be putting. So the need to go social media and so on is very useful in relaying this information so that perhaps you can reach a lot of people. Because a lot of them, for example, had heard about it through churches and so on. The kind of things that perhaps official people don't use and so on. So diversifying, I think, our sources of sending the information would be one way of encouraging participation. But on the other hand, there are some things which are done routinely, like the budgeting process. I think people should know, and when the time comes, you should demand. So again, we should also not just wait to be reached to, but also we should actually demand, because that one is known by September, they will start the process. So again, that knowledge should be known, and we be, again, as I've been saying, be proactive.
The issue of participation is actually, it's a serious one to me, because I think if we really participated in protecting our institutions, our public spaces, we would really move a lot in terms of achieving that objective. There's a question about why the commission is not really visible unless there is a major issue. That's when the commission is heard. I would want to say that there's a lot that is taking place behind the scenes that probably we are not aware of. We have so many complaints that we've received. The commission is tackling them. We also carry out hearings. I think you read in the papers, hearings have been scheduled, and those are all pieces of land that have been grabbed mostly. So it's going on, but probably we've never had time to know, and maybe the commission has not really come out to specifically that issue that you are aware of. That's why I'm saying, let's also come up, let's also bring those issues so that we can all be able to tackle. And then someone asked, how come the grabber has legitimate title and not the school? Yeah, it's really basically corruption. There's nothing that I can really add on that. You see, the corruption culture that has permeated our country has gone to probably all areas, even the land, the ministry, and the staff that are concerned with land previously. So now we are getting those titles that people have acquired, and that is why this opportunity is there for us now as a commission to receive those complaints and to look into them and see it at the legitimacy. So it's really a country-wide phenomenon that we are trying to grapple with and trying to sort it out right now. So my advice again would be, let that guy who has the genuine title call for an hearing, and then the commission can look into that and can decide, make a ruling on the legality of that title deed. There's no one with a title grabber there. They are small, institutional, big, all who grab, those who grab, small places like places which are not meant for kiosks, you put there, you are a grabber. Those who grab big things are, so we have that, and unfortunately it has been institutionalized. There are cartels behind it, and the grabbing process goes through, because for me the grabber is that one also who provides permission for something that should not be provided, which then enables you to go and get a title. You are facilitating that grabbing process and so on. It's something that really needs to come to an end. And I think the commission has a lot of work to bring some of this vocabulary to an end, and soon by really being proactive. What you raised around passive tenants and so on, I think that's something that needs to be addressed. Because while you are in a neighborhood, that's your place. You need to engage. You need to, whether you form tenants association and so on, through which you can then make your case to make your place clean and so on. It's a culture that we need to build on, including people even in the informal settlement. They can ill afford not to make their neighborhoods better because they can't.
If they came together and said, "Now we're going to make sure that rubbish is not thrown around here," the place will be clean, it will be healthy, and so on. So even in our very small ways, we need to begin to be proud of the places we are, and we begin to own. So ownership of the city is very important, regardless whether you are a tenant or you are a landlord. After all, we have more tenants than landlords. So people should also be aware of that. That's actually what is there. And we have had some people who have been around as tenants more than 50 years. In Woodleys, so can you begin to say, and you have generations there and so on. So being a tenant should not stop you from liking the place and making it a worthwhile one. I think I couldn't agree more with Kennedy, with the power of information being given ahead of time. I think that is something that all institutions must do, because people can never engage if they don't have enough information. So I think that is something that really needs to be done, and we need to find ways on how we can make it happen.
People maybe living in Nairobi but voting elsewhere. I think that kind of migrant mentality, where my feet is currently, doesn't necessarily mean completely where my heart is. And so how do we have people see that, you're temporary, or maybe even your 50-year station of being a tenant does not abscond you from your responsibility as a citizen or inside of that place. But there are also other mechanisms, or people that are inside of seats of government that are responsible for areas and how to keep them informed, keep them engaged. So the MCAs in those areas, the ward representatives, they have a responsibility for making certain the people that they feel a place of belonging, that the place where they are, if it's a temporary period, if it's a long stay, that they are very informed about what's happening in their area, that they have some connection to it, and they have a vehicle or a pathway to give their concerns and their input. And so that is the responsibility of our elected officials and the people that are appointed in those areas. Not only to come see the people at election time. This is something that is continuous. It is their responsibility to make certain. And that's how people get a sense of belonging, because someone is looking after them and hearing their concerns. So the question about why isn't this information widely known, I think that's the million-dollar question. And so hopefully we can resolve this. I think open data is one of them. I think it's continuous engagements like this. But I think the person about Kasarani Stadium, if we don't mind ourselves, KICC might go the same way with Samsung and many other places. As people are trying to figure out ways to, the issue is about, well, I'm sure they're all done under the banner of PPP, but they are trying to figure out ways to leverage on private sponsorship to pick up some of the costs that it takes to operate some of these places. And so the question is, and what's one of the challenge is historical preservation. So many of these spaces, we don't have a strong historical preservation system here in Kenya. So many of the buildings, and we're losing many of them because they're just being demolished because of, let's get something brand spanking new, or if you will, let's have something replace this. But we are not taking stock in value of the culture, of the designs, of the aesthetics, what actually took place in some of these spaces. We heard that the Kenyatta home is going to be demolished so they can build up a new house for the president. That's pretty much historical. Whatever took place in that home is a historical something that maybe perhaps should be recognized of what took during that place. So let's not be so quick to try to assimilate or attach ourselves to private venues for lack of losing our own values, taking stock and pride in what we've built, and we should preserve it.